Hey guys, this is your girl Candy. Welcome to Candy's Topic Storytime. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the time when I worked at the U.S. Postal Service in the Maryland area in my younger years as a rural carrier assistant. So sit tight and I can't wait to tell you my story. Before I started working as a rural carrier, they asked that you take a test, which you have to pass it with a 70% or higher. Also, I had to provide a full history of my driving record. Usually, you get it from the DMV or maybe now online. All of this took place in the state of Maryland. So I was taught how to case of mail, and that's basically the distributing processing plant would provide all the mail. So now the carrier, the rural carrier, had to case up the mail and place the mail in driving order. The next couple of weeks after that, I had to learn how to drive an LLV. And why I say I had to learn how to drive an LLV is because it's on the steering wheel is on the right side of the vehicle. So they teach you little tricks of the trade on how to drive that vehicle. Now, if you are still tuned into this channel, please like and subscribe to this channel and click the notification bell below to hear more content. Now, here comes the hard part with working with the U.S. Postal Service as a rural carrier. First of all, you're going to be standing for long periods of time. Dealing with the seasons. Now, because I worked in the state of Maryland, I had 4 seasons. So you got the blazing hot summers, then you got fall, which is pretty good, which they call Indian summer, which is, it's a nice breeze in the air. What, winter? So then you got snow. So you got to learn how to drive in the snow and how to maneuver and look for black ice. Springtime. Now, I suffer for allergies. I used to be dying out there with sneezing, my runny nose. The pollen up in the state of Maryland is crazy when working as a rural carrier. Very often, I did not eat a lunch because at that time I was out and I was delivering. I wanted to hurry up and finish because I knew by the time I got finished, if I got finished in 6 hours, I got paid for 8 hours. So I was good with that. So I was hustling out there. Probably the best thing I can say to compare to other jobs that I've had in the past was with the post office. We got raises every 6 months. So it would be like a quarter raise. And I don't know if it's because how the union had it structured, because I was a union member. It felt like Christmas every 6 months, basically. I was delivering my mail on the LLV, so I didn't have to get out the vehicle, so I was just rolling. So I had this one package that I needed to deliver to the door. I get out the car, the LLV, and I lock it before I go because, that's just rules. I'm going up the driveway of the house and I see the porch. It's the type of porch that you couldn't see. You saw halfway of the door. I'm going around like of the carport that they have, and guess what pops up? A big, huge dog. And this dog looked like a horse. Okay? I stood there like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. Because as soon as it saw me, it raised up on all fours. And I was, I stopped in my tracks because, that's what you're taught when you see a dog or whatever. And I just stood there stood there and did not move, not an inch. What happened was there were some kids on the others, like their neighbor or whatever, and they saw this. So what they did was, which they saved my life, they let's say the dog name was Patrick. So one little girl, she said, "Come here, Patrick. Come here, Patrick." And Patrick, this big dog, ran over there, and I slowly turned and walked very gingerly back to the LLV, and I got up out of there. One particular day, I was finished with my route. I was probably the first rural carrier to come back to the station, which was cool, and that usually happened because I had the shortest route. I had an auxiliary route, as what they call them. I come back, and by this time it might have been about 5 o'clock. Now I had a how old my daughter was. I think she was like two-ish. So she was in daycare, and the daycare was right up the street from the station. I come back to the station, and my supervisor comes to me and says, "You're done?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm done. I'm about to roll out right now." He's like, no, you're not." I said, "Excuse me?" He's like, "We got a bump." And what a bump is basically maybe somebody got sick or somebody had to go home or leave an emergency. So what they do is with that person's particular route, they split it up, and you get bumped basically. If it's split three ways, there's three people that are going to be taking the route so they can finish it up quicker. So I was like, I gotta go. It's 5 o'clock. And guess what? I don't have nobody that's gonna be able to pick up my child. And this is short notice. So sorry, gotta go. And apparently he didn't like that because the next morning I get called to his office, and I'm like, "Okay, what's going on?" And he was like, "Well, I'm writing you up because I told you to do the bump yesterday and you didn't want to do it." And I said, "Well, guess what? I'm not signing anything because you didn't ask any of those men that were standing around." And first of all, this bump wasn't even a rural carrier area. It was a city carrier area. And if you know anything about that, guess what? As being a rural carrier, you don't know about other people's routes. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, "No, I'm not for to sign this paperwork. And if you need to do what you got to do it. Call HR or I'll call them for you." And the thing about it is, the reason why I said what I said was because, first of all, you thought I was going to just roll over and do what you want to do, or want me to do, or whatever. No, it wasn't going to happen because guess what? I barked back, even in my 20s, even if that man was older than molasses, been working there and was telling people how to do it, when to do it. Guess what? You wasn't going to do that to me because I got a baby. And guess what? I was a single mother at the time. And guess what? I'm not doing it. And if you don't like it, guess what? You can ask one of them grown men that's been here for 10, 15 years to knock it out. Mm. You understand what I'm saying? And if you understand what I'm saying down below, please comment, because women tend to get tried a lot, especially around that dominated, you know, working at the post office. It's not a lot of women that do it, but now it's back in my day when I was working it. Now 2020, that's something different. But back when I was doing it back in what it was 2003, it was dominated by mostly men, and there was a sprinkle here and there of women. All in all, my experience at the post office was fantastic. I really enjoyed working at the post office for many reasons. I didn't have a supervisor on top of me every single day. It was, you came in there, did what you had to do, you went out, you prepared the mail, and then you went out and you delivered the mail. You came back and you was gone. There wasn't really anybody behind your back telling you how to do it and when to do it. That's what I really enjoyed about it. Also, the pay was great. They often tell you, because you're working 6 days a week, depending on which office you do work at, that you're gonna work so much where to the point where you ain't even gonna have time to spend your money. And that was kind of a good thing for me because I was able to save up my checks and stuff like that for me to be able to have the opportunity to move back to Miami. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to Candy's Topic Story Time. I definitely have some more videos coming up for you. Thank you for tuning in, and click like, subscribe, and click the notification bell for more stories.